What's up, everybody? Welcome to Playing Dead, IGN's somewhat often Walking Dead, the video game show. We come in, we talk about the show with you, we do it's spoiler territory. If you didn't play episode 4, you should turn it off right now, because, look, it's Mark and Jason. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
For the kids at home, what did you do on the game?
I was the designer for episode 4.
And I directed it.
Okay, so you're the guys who broke all of our hearts and destroyed everything and made us cry.
Well, yeah, exactly. We told other people how we specifically were going to do it.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you did that. We're going to start in an interesting place for episode 4 again. This is your last chance to get out of here. I told you spoilers. Episode 4, The Walking Dead, season 2.
Right.
Was it really a choice if I was going to save Sarah? Sarah, man. I've been looking to get out of the Sarah business for quite some time. So as soon as they're like, "What do you want to do? Talk her out of it or go?" I'm like, "Peace."
Why?
Right.
Why? Because she sucks. Here's the thing. It's like she is. I fell very much into it when everybody's walking in my game after the fact. We've left her for dead. I saw her get torn apart. I was like, yes, excellent. She's like actually, I guess this is the best thing. Not since Ben have I been so ready for a character to die. Right. She was this season's Ben, and so when we're walking away and Luke's like, oh man, she was bringing the group down. Like, trying to rectify in his head, right? Like, she wasn't meant for this world. It's very true. She wasn't meant, and that was my thing when we meet her for the first time in episode, or I guess at the end of episode 1, right? When you actually get to talk to her, and you're like, something's off about you. This isn't right. And I thought at first it was that Carlos was just sheltering her, right? And then it was going to turn out that, oh, she's a normal child, and then it's like, oh, you're still not normal. Something. And it's like, I'm not going to take you on, right? Like, I thought this was a great example of her, like, just having a breakdown after everything and being, like, locked in a room and not being able to talk to Luke about it. I was like, well, I hate you even more now.
Right.
And the time has come.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think you would have done the same thing if you were Lee?
No. I think Lee would have saved her, right? Lee would have gone out. But this is what's been interesting about season 2, and in this episode especially, right? Like, I feel like you guys are really good this season about peeling back what I'm trying to do, right? Like, I was talking to you earlier, right? Season 1 was very defined. I'm Lee Everett. I have this girl. I will protect her at all costs, and we're going to, Macon, right? No, is that right? Yeah, Savannah. Sorry. Yeah, I only went to Georgia for the first time ever, so it's very hard for me to keep it all together. I'm going to Savannah, and that's what I'm doing, and I'll do anything to keep her safe. And so, the only time I felt like, as Lee, I wasn't the stand-up, awesome Lee, right, is when we took the stuff from the car. And for me, I only felt that way because the game painted it very, this is right, this is wrong, these are the choices. Whereas I felt this is a decision that, this car is abandoned, clearly these people are dead. And I would have done the whole, like, hello, and they did that, hello, nobody responds. I'm like, you had your shot, let's go. Whereas this one, I think from the get-go, from the minute Omi dies, like, hope in season 2 dies, right? Like, I'm not looking for a happy ending, and as we go, for the first time ever, I am Clementine, and what would I do? I was very much role-playing Lee Everett. I'm the stand-up, I'm the hero, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this girl, I'm going to rectify my life, you know what I mean? Right. And as Clem, it's very much like, I have nothing to make up for, I just have to survive, and what's the right choice here? And I never want to be in a group with Sarah and try to have to worry about her. So that's it. So I find it interesting that on that choice, stats combined, 47.7 players saved Sarah, 52.3 were on the right side of history.
Right.
Cut her loose.
Well, and I think that's an interesting thing, just on that it was that split, because there's just so many people like in the office, on the internet, who are just like, Sarah, I can't wait to get rid of her. But when it actually came down to it, not everyone did. So I think that's interesting. I think it's also interesting that there's so many people who are, I've been hearing, were satisfied in slapping Sarah. But I think you only get that option if you're going to save her. I think that's like the last thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, well, so you wanted to slap her, but in order to do that, you had to want her to be around at the same time.
Well, I mean, there's always that part of me who just wants her to wake up to the reality of the situation. You know what I mean? Like, when I was talking to her before you get the choice, I'm very much like, we can't be kids anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you have to stop this. And, like, that's still such a jarring thing for her after seeing everything that happened with her dad, you know what I mean? And the whole group.
Right.
I was like, we don't have time for this.
Right. That's the situation when we wanted to put you in, is coming to that place where you're going to do the wrong thing, but how wrong is it?
Right.
It's you're making a point at a place where you're losing some innocence because you're making this big decision to let somebody die.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the right decision, but it's also morally the wrong decision. It's a really tough place to be in. So it's been exciting for me to see all the people struggle with that.
Sure.
And see how many people, and see how it's split is really cool. That people aren't just saying, well, I'm playing a video game and I'm trying to do the right thing all the time, so I'm going to save her no matter what. That there are just as many people saying, the right thing to do is, I can't save her.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a danger.
Well, and that's the thing too, I think, on a couple of levels, right, with the Sarah situation in particular, she's going to die no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, Clem, and I know this is a very vague thing, so stick with me. You know, Clem, all these characters in the game are going to die no matter what. We're going to die no matter what. Yeah. Sad to break it to you.
Woody Allen movie.
Exactly. But I mean, in this scenario, Sarah for sure is going to die in the near future. Her father isn't there to sugarcoat it anymore, you know what I mean? So I want to cut and run, and I want to protect Luke. Like, you know what I mean? I've been with Luke for so long, and obviously Jane's this amazing character now that I want to know more about and do more stuff with, so I want to make sure she gets out of there too. And that's when it gets down to that line, when it's really one of those, like, what do I value more? This girl who clearly isn't going to ever make it, or these two guys who can? Luke's hurt, I need to get moving, you know what I mean? That's the big thing for me. Let's see what else people did here, all right? Oh, this Arvo guy. Oh, Lord. Arvo pops up. Right now, I'll tell you, 52.6 of the players stole the pills. Right. 47.4 refused to steal. I fell on the minority there. I said I didn't want to steal from him. This for me, you know, again, like, I knew in my head the right call. You know what I mean? The decision to survive, take care of my ailing community and team was to steal the pills, but I couldn't wrap my head around that. And that, for me, I think is a little bit of the Lee in my head, if you will. You know, Lee, maybe a little bit of trying to make up for the station wagon. You know what I mean?
Right. That was intentional. I think we had designed that piece to allow people to reflect back onto season one, what they did at the car, and allow that decision to influence what you're going to do now.
And also, just like you're there, you've got the gun on this guy. Yeah. How are you gonna go about it? It's not an indirect thing of just like, oh, you know, it's just a station wagon in the woods. Sure. It's very directly. Am I okay with mugging Harry Potter? Because like, that's what Arvo looks like.
Yeah, it's very true.
And you know, people are.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what it comes back to. But it's the right choice. But then again, I knew we were going to kill him.
Right.
If it would have been like take pills and shoot in head, I would have been like, probably got to do that. Right, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want any loose ends because for me, there's so many things tied up. There's the station wagon tied up into it, right? Then of course there's Bonnie. And like Bonnie totally tricked me, right? Because she showed up and she was looking through the windows and she said she had like kids to take care of, and I'm like, she's just lying to protect her group that she's with, never thinking she was actually with Carver. So I was like, here's all your stuff. Yeah, I know you. Right. I remember you. So sorry about the hitting the lady in the head thing. Go about your life, you know what I mean? And then she comes back and I'm like, mother, I shouldn't have given her anything, you know what I mean? So then you have Arvo pop up and it's the same thing. I'm like, is this going to be the first time you guys don't screw me over? Where I don't let someone go and then they come back with everybody and try to pound me? I'm like, damn it. But then he came back and tried to pound everybody.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah, it is what's happened. You guys are all twisted. Y'all got a lot of problems.
Much. Well, I mean, and that was an interesting one for me because if I thought it would be better for the people who robbed him when he shows up again at the end. Yeah. I was like, that's going to be. It was one thing that I wish we would have handled. I don't know how we could have done it differently, but it's like you would have had a stronger, just like, oh, just got real. Right. Whereas it's like you kind of feel like, okay, maybe I can bargain with this guy and I've got a little bit more agency over what he's going to do there in the last scenario. I thought it was way more dramatic for the people. It's like, oh, the only guy I can trust here is the guy I screwed over.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Well, that was the thing too.
But for you, I mean, what were you thinking at that moment where you're basically dealing with Arvo and he's got his buddies that have guns on you?
I mean, like there was a split second where I forgot that you guys, have stomped out hope in this game.
Right.
And so when I'm like, no, I didn't steal from you. Jane did. Right. And I was and he's like, oh, that's right, Jane. And I was like, here we go. And he's like, where is she? I'm like, oh, bro, no. Like you're supposed to say thank you, Clementine, for not doing this to me.
Yes, you are the one person.
Yeah, exactly. And no, he totally screws me over again, and then all hell breaks loose there at the end. But we're not there yet. Don't go. We're not yet. On your choice here about crawling through the window, 48.8 of the players volunteered to crawl through. 51.2 said Bonnie could reach through. For me, I crawled through it, and it was just like one of those things of just like second nature. And I'm sure that's why you did it. You know what I mean? The way that like, oh, there's this little hole. I'm a little girl. I can do it. And she gets stuck, and she has the whole conversation. I'm not as small as I thought I was anymore.
Yep.
But it was also. I mean, these walkers. Come on. Why it takes you that long to stir? We've been out here clanging on the door, talking, no movement. I put my arm through. That's when you got to move.
was waiting for that raccoon.
Yeah, right, that's true.
I was hoping that was going to be a question on this thing.
Right.
Because when the raccoon runs and it's like got its teeth out and it's yelling and it runs at you and you guys had a button on it, I was like, hell no. Hell no, I'm not catching a raccoon with my bare hands. I got eaten by a dog a while back. And I don't need rabies in the middle of all this, too.
How many things will you get bitten by?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not screwing around with this thing. But yeah, climbing through the window, that I thought was dirty pool, but it was fine.
Well, I think it was the first time we actually offered the player to say, you know what, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. Everybody's looking at me and saying, we need somebody that'll go through. And after episode, fine, I'm the little person, at least offered the player to say, you know what, screw you. I'm not going through it, find another way. And you have that option. Which
is great, compounded with the raccoon thing, because you just say, nope, not pressing this button. Sorry.
I feel like that's Clem's job on the team, though, is to go through small holes and things.
Right.
You know what I mean? We had the guy picking up all the water. Bonnie just being Bonnie. I don't know what she was doing in this situation. But, Clem, I'm going to get through the hole. Sure, I can do that. I can do that for you. But then
that's up to you.
Well, you're right, it was, because my Clem helps out. That's what she is.
What's that look?
It's just me giving you the evil eye for the change of it. People, one other question, did you hold the baby? 56.7 of the people held the baby. 43.3 said, I do not want to hold the baby.
That's the one that blew me away.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was holding the baby.
Well, it's funny
because I know the people who are like,
I think
I know some of those people.
Just
I do know some of those
imprint on the. They're like, oh, this baby. I don't know about this baby.
Yeah, like this is not going to
end well. This is going to wilt in my hands if I touch this thing.
Yeah.
So.
Like that, for me, there's the one part where Rebecca's like, we sure have come a long way, like our relationship and stuff. I'm like, I still don't think you're that cool. Like, I'm still not a big fan. I was waiting for that to pop up on the wheel.
Come a long way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you stopped being such an ice queen from the beginning when you hated me for no reason, but that's cool. Yeah, whatever. And then the very end, the question was who wanted to shoot Rebecca or not shoot Rebecca. 42.7 chose to shoot. 57.3 said, not going to shoot this one. I shot. I figured it was, I knew what I was going to do. You see the scenario, right? You're like, well, everybody's got a gun pointed. I pull the trigger. There's going to be trouble to begin with. But I also don't want her to eat the baby right in front of me and call out. I was like, what am I going to say? Hey, everybody who's already a jerk.
Right, yep.
Watch out. So that was going to end badly no matter what. Is that the situation you like to leave it in? That, hey, this is bad news bears no matter what happens next.
That's kind of The Walking Dead in general, right? It's always, there's no good choice. It's bad choice or other bad choice. They always suck.
See, I don't... that's true, but I still feel like Clem is such a good person. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm making choices here that are, a little out there. Leave Sarah behind or whatever, but I'm not doing it in a malicious way.
Right.
And so, it's funny you say that because all the choices are always bad, but I never think they are. And I'll sit there and I'll pause it and I'll debate. Or even if my first playthrough, I usually let the timer. I'm trying to play by the rules.
Right.
I want to see everything that's going to happen. I want to try to be in that moment as Clem, because that's what it's all about, being that character. So talk to me a little bit, guys, on a more massive level, I guess, of season 2, and what's it all about when you talk about it? You know what I mean? Like we were talking earlier, right? Season 1 made a lot of sense to me. Lee, Clem, protect, go. And that was it. You know what I mean? But whereas season 2 has really been, you're Clem, this is the world you live in.
Yeah. That kind of is what it's about. And for episode 4, especially, we've been about kind of expanding the world view about what it means to live in this world now that is what it is, and you don't know if it's going to change, you have no idea what it's going to be. So you just have to live in this world in this moment. And this kind of expands your view, or we hope that this episode has expanded your view on what it takes and what it means to live in this kind of world. So we're opening up people like Jane and Kenny's view on the world, and Luke's view on the world, and what kind of a person emotionally you need to be to survive, not necessarily practically, but emotionally, and with the connections you're making with people and who you call family. And I think that's what we've made this whole season to kind of be about.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a lot of it that at this point, we're 2 years into the apocalypse, and everybody's outlived somebody. So at this point, there's a lot of survivor's guilt. Episode 4 in particular, a lot of people are motivated by who they have recently outlived. With the beginning of this episode, the end of the last episode, Sarah's dealing with Carlos being gone. if Nick made it to this episode, Luke finds that out.
Yeah.
Rebecca's got to deal with that. Kenny's got to deal with Sarita and all that kind of stuff.
And see, like, this is the problem. Like,
right.
I'm ride or die with Kenny.
Right.
I made a choice a long time ago. I love Kenny. Luke, you seem cool. I'm with Kenny, even though he's kind of crazy and awesome, whatever. But, like, that was the thing. Even now, being a Kenny apologist, I was like, suck it up, man. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, it's all your fault. I'm like, did we just meet? Like, we've been hanging out a while, bro. You know what it's like out there. You know what I mean?
He's got to excise his demons. I mean, he's got that stuff. Like, we shot the Kenny tent moment.
Yeah.
We found, like, okay, so he's actually in this, like, A-frame, which is very similar to where we found him after he killed that kid in the attic in season 1. And so we used some similar shots and stuff like that. And that's Kenny dealing with the loss of his wife and his son in the last season. This one, he's dealing with the loss of his girlfriend. We find him in a very, very similar place, but there's a lot more hurt there this time, so it's going to be louder.
So I guess final question then, which do you prefer? Do you prefer this, like, open-ended storytelling you guys are doing in season 2, or did you prefer the, kind of, I don't want to make it sound like paint by numbers, but you know how, like, your more traditional story structure, right, of, like, climax and then coming down to this. Because, like, when you guys introduced, when you're like, we got Michael Madsen, he's this villain, I'm like, oh, finally, this is the dude we're setting out to, oh, he's dead. Yep. Oh, wow,
Gone.
okay.
Yep.
What happens in the next 2 episodes? Which do you prefer?
It's tough to say. I think it's been more of a challenge this season to try to make you feel motivated and make you understand the world that you're living in than having more clear objectives. But it's also a more interesting headspace to be in as kind of a designer and writer.
Sure.
To think of those. So it's hard for me to say which one I prefer.
I mean,
for my nerves, probably the first one. For my stress levels.
At a certain level, the player character has to weigh in. Lee is very much defined by what the group thinks of him.
Yeah.
Clem is very much defining herself. And, my Clem, when I play season 2, is like the little Clint Eastwood in the room, and she's just like, I've got nothing to prove to any of you people and that kind of stuff. But we still have to include a more innocent take and that kind of stuff. But with Clementine, with her defining herself, her Clementine-ness in this world, a more open approach and a more just kind of like, well, what is next is, I think, more appropriate than with Lee.
Interesting. Well, thank you guys so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Playing Dead. Remember, it's IGN's Walking Dead, the video game TV show. Not TV. Why do I keep saying TV? I've worked on the internet for 7.5 years, and I've never called one of my shows a TV show. But today, I am dead set on this being... Anyways,
today it's a TV show.
It is. Well, it's because of you guys. You came dressed up.
We're TV
you look like TV talent.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we post it all the time. We talk about The Walking Dead. We have plenty more up our sleeves leading into the finale. So make sure you keep coming back and tell us in the comments what you thought of episode 4. Until next time, rest in peace, everyone who's ever died in this game.